just when Qinfeng got the news and was about to fly to Kyoto. Kyoto, the hideout of the Great Xia Dragon Group Guild. The main body of this hideout is similar to Qinfeng's Soul Purification Land, an underground palace called the Soul Purification Land. It is located near the Wudao-ku before the advent of the God-forsaken game. This is also one of the few mild areas within the 5 rings of Kyoto after the spread of desolation, except for 3 or 4 areas. The other areas are already turbulent and violent areas, which are not suitable for living. The vast majority of surviving Kyoto players have moved outside the 5 rings, although the Soul Purification Land hideout is an underground palace. But the Great Xia Dragon Group still built a lot of buildings in the ground area, within the scope of the hideout according to the habits of the players, and carved 2 dragon head statues at the entrance of the underground palace. If we talk about strength, the overall strength of the Great Xia Dragon Group Guild is not the strongest among the Great Xia guilds, but it is definitely one of the most important guilds in the Great Xia official, because special professions like soul collectors and soul searchers are basically included in this guild. In reality, the guild hideout is also home to the family members of the guild members, including many elderly people and children. At this moment, outside the guild hideout, there is a translucent defensive barrier that is rippling at a very fast speed and frequency, and it is obviously under fierce attack. There are many elderly people and children looking around nervously and worriedly. As for the combat-capable members, they all go out to fight. They can see the elemental effects that attack the defensive barrier, mainly fire and lightning, so they throw group attacks and range skills towards the area where they are attacked. But unfortunately, the opponent was very fast, circling the entire dome of the defense barrier, constantly fighting guerrilla warfare, and each time attacking in places where there were few people, so that when people arrived, the opponent had already left. Yun Jianyu was guarding the west side, where there were 2 towers more than 10 stories high. She stood on one of the towers and threw skills outside the barrier. A sea of fire that spread for hundreds of meters enveloped the outside world, making the attackers dare not come here. Her behavior was seen by many people, as expected of the former strongest man in Haicheng. She can defend such a large area alone. It's a pity that her mind is not clear, and she dared to cooperate with the people of Coconut Country. There's no way. I heard that her brother and the people she likes were killed by the Phoenix. Wasn't that her own fault? People took a quick look and then dispersed. After all, at this critical moment, there was no time to gossip about others. Yun Jianyu stood calmly on the high tower, looking at the sea of fire ahead. In the hazy gray weather, the dim firelight made her calm face red. It looks like this operation should be successful. Everyone knows who the shadow is? Let him deal with me, haha. Then do I have any way to go? I just want to avenge my relatives and kill a monster. Is that wrong? Daxia, you control me and use me as a tool. You asked for it? Her eyes were cold. Obviously, the attack on the hideout had something to do with her. At present, that guy, after being blessed by the NPC's ability, has reached the 15th level of invisibility, and this invisibility state is forced to last for nearly 5 hours. During this period, whether launching an attack or being attacked, he will not be visible. It's a pity that he can't hide the attack special effects like Shadow, but it's already very strong. Except Shadow, no one in Daxia can deal with it at present. But even if Shadow wants to come, it will take at least 5 minutes. Yun Jianyu felt it was outrageous when she thought of this. 5 minutes. From the real Magic City to Kyoto. This is the fastest speed she guessed from the information she knew. Qinfeng. And in order to avoid accidents, she also doubled Qinfeng's speed. As long as you break through the defense barrier within 5 minutes, kill Luo Xiaoxiao, and the Daxia official will no longer be able to control me. With my current strength, I can find a place to hide at will. Even Shadow can't find me at all. Yun Jianyu didn't want to go to this point, but there is no way. She didn't expect that she just recruited people from the Coconut Country and asked them to kill a monster boss. But this could be considered a betrayal of Daxia. Isn't it just using some guild resources? How much are those underwater breathing potions worth? They're not even as good as one of my the Flame Elementalist important. Yun Jianyu sneered. At this point, she still didn't think she was wrong. And her middleman was a mysterious man codenamed Emotionally Stable High Quality Human Male. She didn't know who this person was, but she knew that this person had connections with North America. This time, she was using the relationship in North America to help her, but she also had her own ideas. Even if I was free, going to North America would be a death sentence. No matter whether it was Daxia or North America, don't even think about controlling me. At the same time, outside the defensive barrier of the Soul Purification Land, there was an invisible young man with short golden hair, riding a dragon eagle mount more than 5 meters long, flying around the defensive barrier, constantly launching fire and lightning attacks. The young man looked like he had just turned 18. It was the age of vigor and vitality. I didn't expect that the boost of the demon NPC was really useful. Not only can it give me invisibility that lasts for nearly 5 hours, It can actually extend the duration of my buff effect by 5 times. It can also reduce my negative effects to 1/5 of the original. Although the cost is high, it's worth it. The short-haired young man with golden hair curled his lips slightly. He looked at the defense barrier below, where many powerful people from Daxia kept launching range attacks outside, but they were always hitting the air, which made him feel quite accomplished, but he didn't dare to stop. After all, he knew that if he took action in Daxia and it was beyond the control of Daxia officials, it would definitely attract Shadow. At present, he knew that Shadow was in the Magic City, and the distance from the Magic City to Kyoto was more than 1,000 kilometers. 5 minutes. How could a person fly from the Magic City to Kyoto in 5 minutes? This kid didn't believe the information given to him by the contact person, but to be on the safe side, he decided to fight for 5 minutes and retreat if he couldn't handle it in 5 minutes. Of course, he didn't think he couldn't handle the defensive barrier in 5 minutes, because I am so strong now. He used to be in this state frequently, but it didn't last long. Until now, it was the demon NPC's state enhancement blessing that made him so strong and lasting. This blonde young man from North America is named Joffrey Fruss. When the God-Forsaken game came, he was just holding his coming-of-age ceremony. Originally, Joffrey thought that the best gift he received was the pistol given by his father, but now he thinks back. The God-Forsaken game is the best gift for his coming-of-age ceremony because he got the only hidden profession, Soul Absorber. The base profession of the Soul Absorber is the Mage, so he can learn all the skills of the Mage profession. In addition, the characteristics of this profession are very terrifying. It can temporarily absorb the attributes of friendly forces and enhance itself. Of course, this is not forced absorption, but requires the consent of friendly forces, and he also got an Emerald level talent, Legend of Thunder and Fire. His fire damage and lightning damage will be increased by 50%, and if his attack is accompanied by thunder damage and fire damage at the same time, it will produce an additional large-scale explosion damage. The only hidden profession, Emerald level talent, and a handsome wizard, made Joffrey a favorite of all the major guilds in the ruins of Twisted Waste City, and all the major guilds extended olive branches to him. In the end, he joined the White Bull Altar, one of the top 3 guilds in Twisted Waste City, under the special training of the White Bull Altar Guild. Joffrey's strength has improved by leaps and bounds, and according to his professional characteristics, he was specially assigned a soul-absorbing group. The 60 people in this team were originally considered the second-tier powerhouses of the White Bull Altar Guild, but as long as Joffrey has a need, the 60 people in this team must agree to be absorbed and contribute their attributes to Joffrey. After the 3rd professional advancement, Joffrey's soul absorbing can absorb up to 20% of the total attributes of 60 people. Each person, this is equivalent to allowing his total attributes to soar to more than 10 times the original. Especially when attacking the boss, there is a top team to absorb the soul for Joffrey, stimulate his strongest combat power, and then cooperate with the strongest team to attack the boss. Such an important position and the strength of standing at the top of the Twisting Waste City have allowed Joffrey to have 4 beauties at a young age, one of whom is a female star who was once active in the film industry. This makes the young blonde boy a little flattered. And this time, the White Bull Altar Guild gave him a task to come to Daxia, break through a hiding place, and kill a woman named Luo Xiaoxiao. According to the information, this Luo Xiaoxiao is a soul collector. As long as she is killed, many powerful people in Daxia will be liberated. Those powerful people in Daxia have more or less conflicts with the Daxia official. By then, those powerful people will join our White Bull Altar. In fact, Joffrey has no interest in whether the guild is prosperous. Originally, he had completely rejected this task. After all, going to Daxia to cause trouble would mean provoking Shadow, and who could resist that? But there was no way. The guild gave too much, and the most important thing was the feasibility of this plan under normal circumstances. Joffrey's soul-sucking ability could not be used indiscriminately, because his soul-sucking state would last for a maximum of 3 minutes, and he would fall into a weak state for an hour after the state ended. In this state, not only could he not absorb souls to increase his attributes, but his own attributes would be weakened by 50%. This made him dare not come to Daxia to make trouble anyway, because the success rate was too low. But not long ago, the White Bull Guild obtained a batch of equipment that was said to be obtained by Shadow through some secret channels, several diamond level equipment, and even epic level equipment whose required level was lowered by the Hammer NPC in the Magic City. The arrival of this batch of equipment allowed the White Bull Altar Guild to finally capture a demon NPC and bring that demon NPC home. The function of this demon NPC is absolutely a great help to Joffrey. It can make people enter the forced stealth state, and most importantly, it can increase the duration of the player's buff state and shorten the duration of the negative state. This allows Joffrey's soul-sucking ability to last for 15 minutes. The weakness time after the state ends is only 12 minutes. He can suck souls infinitely. Of course, the fee for the NPC's enhancement is not cheap. Adding 1 invisibility will increase the lifespan by 3,000 years, and adding 1 duration will increase the lifespan by 600 years. If there is nothing important, it is unlikely to be used. It's just that at a very critical moment, this ability is terrifying. After 20% of the attributes of the top team of soul sucking, Joffrey's full attributes have reached more than 400 points. This is why he feels that he is so powerful. Of course, even so, Joffrey still doesn't think he can compete with Daxia's Shadow Arm Wrestling, because it is obvious that he tried to attack the epic boss, and under the full amplification state, a maximum damage skill was only more than 2 million damage. This damage has crushed any other player, but it is completely incomparable to the Shadow. What kind of monster is that Shadow? Joffrey felt it was too incredible. He absolutely did not want to deal with the Shadow, and if everything goes well in this operation, he will not encounter the Shadow. With his current terrifying output ability, a maximum damage thunder explosion, with additional fire damage, the damage to the defense barrier is tens of millions. Even if the official guild of Daxia has a lot of life reserves, it can't withstand his 5-minute attack. In just a few minutes, Joffrey is confident that he can directly make this guild consume tens of thousands of years of life to replenish the durability of the defense barrier, and since it is a real action. After the matter is done, the other party will not know who did it. If they are really found by some special means, the White Bull Guild is willing to spend a lot of life to settle this matter. After all, everyone knows that although Daxia's shadow is invincible, as long as there is life, it will be easy to talk. Didn't many things before be solved in this way? Everything is the responsibility of the White Bull Altar Guild. At this time, looking at the defensive barrier in the hiding place in front of him, the durability is constantly being blasted and constantly being repaired to consume life. Joffrey can feel how painful it is for the other party to replenish life. At present, relying on the powerful amplification ability of the demon NPC, the White Bull Altar Guild has firmly sat on the title of the first guild in Neo Yao City. After taking action against a medium-sized guild and successfully conquering the other party, some other large guilds also came to give gifts to the White Bull Altar Guild and ask for peace. This made Joffrey and some people in their guild very proud, as long as the barrier is broken. Someone will cooperate inside and outside to provide me with the location of Luo Xiaoxiao. It is said that this woman is usually protected by 2 first-class female warriors. Normal players can't find a chance to attack her. But who dares to call himself first class in front of me? Joffrey smiled confidently. But just when he threw out another thunder explosion skill and it landed on the defensive barrier, it suddenly turned dark in front of his eyes. What's going on? The blonde boy was still riding on the Dragon Eagle and throwing skills, but suddenly he fell into a dark state where he couldn't see or hear. At the same time, Joffrey felt that all the superordinate affixes on his body suddenly became invalid in an instant. The blonde boy was like a headless fly running around in the sky. This unprecedented situation gave Joffrey a terrifying thought. Could it be that the shadow is coming? This thought instantly made Joffrey fall into fear. At the same time as fear, he also had an incredible thought. No, how is this possible? I just started fighting for less than 3 minutes. Less than 3 minutes? From the real Magic City to Kyoto? Is this scientific? If Qinfeng knew his thoughts, he would probably sneer. The godforsaken game has come, and you are still talking to me about science. Even if you really talk about science, Qinfeng will teach this kid a lesson. Everything that exists is science. And the reason why Qinfeng's speed is so fast is because he gave Asirio drugs. Although Asirio's speed has reached an extremely terrifying level after sacrificing 24 minions, it can be even faster. This magic potion is not from Tianjixing, but provided by Wanye Weiyu. The official Daxia still has some strange things. Ordinary magic potions cannot be taken by mounts and pets. But the official Daxia in Magic City has a hidden profession for players, which can make potions specifically for mounts and pets, including potions that speed up mounts and pets by 20%. Although this 20% may not seem like much, it is actually the final increase. So when it is counted for Asirio, whose basic speed is very fast, the final speed is even more unimaginable. In less than 3 minutes, he rushed 2,000 miles at a speed. When Qinfeng rode Asirio to the sky above the hiding place of the Dragon Group in Kyoto and Daxia, Wanye Weiyu, who came with him, had her long hair blown into an afro. This made the girl a little tearful. She held a piece of dragon bone tightly. If her attributes were not nearly 100 times that of ordinary players, she would not be able to withstand such a high speed. Even before she reacted, people had already arrived in Kyoto. The first to bear the brunt was the North American blonde boy who fell into invisibility, Soulsucker Joffrey. Qinfeng only took a glance. And the blonde boy who was in the invisible state and through skills randomly fell into a 100% stripping state directly and completely lost his 5 senses? Good guy. although I saw through it. This boy's invisible state is still there. Qinfeng was a little surprised, because according to reason, the unit whose invisible state is seen through by his shadow perception will be broken. But the blonde boy's invisible state is still there. It seems that this guy dares to come. He is really capable, but it may not be his own ability. Qinfeng knew it in his heart. It must be said that this boy's methods made Qinfeng a little curious. In this case, swish. A shadow blade flew out instantly. Although the blonde boy's invisibility has not been broken, when he was shot by the shadow blade, more than 200% of the instant death scale was added on the spot, and his heart was instantly pierced. This is the first one. At the same time, Qinfeng just thought about it, consumed 10 points of divinity, and transferred it to the Judgment Land. Just at the moment when Qinfeng took action, the guild members of the Great Xia Dragon group below all found that the thunder and fire attacks from the surroundings suddenly stopped. For a moment, people were a little surprised and doubtful. The person is taken care of. Only one person? Qinfeng brought Osirios and appeared, and at the same time glanced at Wanye Weiyu. What about you? Do you want to be invisible? Wanye Weiyu felt her exploding hair and shook her head with tears. It's better to die than to let her see people like this. Okay. You deal with it yourself and explain the situation to them. I'll go do something and pull some carrots first. Qinfeng smiled and asked Osirios to send Wanye Weiyu to the ground. Then he returned to the Judgment Land. So in the eyes of everyone in the Great Xia Dragon group, there was only a skull sword, pterosaur, that suddenly appeared in the gray sky, and then fell down like lightning in an instant. Isn't this Shadow's mount? Oh my god. Am I dazzled? How could Shadow's mount be here? My eyes are sharp. The speed at which it landed just now was definitely more than 10 times the speed of sound. The attack outside just stopped. Could it be because Shadow killed someone? No. Shadow really came from the Magic City temporarily. For a moment, everyone present was stunned. This naturally included Yun Jianyue, this indifferent flame elementalist wearing a red robe. When she suddenly saw Osiris appear, her whole face showed an extremely wonderful expression. The place of judgment. In the white jade maze around the white jade platform, the blonde boy Joffrey appeared with a confused face. This guy was just throwing skills happily. Suddenly, his eyes went dark, and when he opened them again, he appeared in this mysterious and noble place. Wang Difa. Stupid. Confused. Full of question marks. When he looked up, he saw a shocking scene that he had never imagined in his life. A black figure wearing a white death mask appeared in this noble place, surrounded by white jade. The figure's eyes were cold, and behind him were 4 pairs of black death wings, exuding a cold breath of death. The lower body was surrounded by a dark death smokescreen, and under his feet were deep blue broken ice that froze the air. The whole body was surrounded by a shield formed by purple lightning to avoid damage. Is this Shadow? Fuck. Joffrey's mentality collapsed instantly. He originally planned to make a time difference, but he didn't expect that Shadow would come so quickly. This broke his defense, and he blurted out in English, Shadow, are you Daxia's babysitter? Why are you everywhere? Someone came here specifically to give me a life-saving gift? Wouldn't it be stupid if I didn't come? Qinfeng laughed and suddenly saw that the blonde boy had a pair of wrist guards that looked familiar. Isn't this the epic equipment I sold to Daxia officials before? Qinfeng was also stunned. This kind of strategic equipment should not be circulated. How did it end up in the hands of North American players? He frowned slightly. You, give me all your equipment. This is the place of judgment. Qinfeng can set up a small game to reveal all the other party's props. But if the other party cooperates, it can save some trouble. You are robbing? Joffrey collapsed and accused. This boy, who just turned 18, has never encountered such a desperate moment in his life, and he actually refused to hand over his equipment. He even thought he was smart enough to look at Qinfeng. Shadow. I won't hand over my equipment, but I can tell you who is behind all this. It has nothing to do with me. I was just forced to come here to perform the mission. The culprit is in Niu Yao City. Let me go. I will tell you all the people behind the scenes. It's a pity. This is the place of judgment. Since he came here, everything about him has been controlled by Qinfeng. It seems that you don't understand the situation. Qinfeng was too lazy to say more to him. Since he was unwilling to hand over his equipment, then explode. Swish. When the equipment explosion game in the Judgment Land was launched, Qinfeng started to play. After consuming a few points of divine power and modifying the rules of the game, Qinfeng could make Joffrey explode an equipment or item in the storage space every time he activated the Shadow Blade, constantly resurrected, and constantly killed in seconds. It can be seen that this guy has some resistance to instant death, but as the pair of epic wristbands in his hands were exploded, his resistance to instant death returned to the initial state, while being killed again and again and items were exploded one by one. Joffrey was dumbfounded and stunned on the spot. Can killing people also explode equipment? What kind of god is this, Shadow? You have a lot of this stuff, but it doesn't have much lifespan. Did you save your lifespan? Qin Feng was too lazy to talk nonsense with him. In a few seconds, he stripped this guy of all his equipment and took all the items in the storage space. All added up, it's worth 1,000 years of life. And after exposing all his supplies, Qin Feng began to pull out his attributes. Attributes 10. Attributes 10. Attributes 10. Joffrey, whose whole body was exposed, was completely desperate. Explode equipment. Explode attributes. Joffrey wanted to ask, what else can't you explode? At this moment, the completely desperate blonde boy broke through the defense and exploded on the spot, his eyes full of bloodshot. I tell you everything. All the masterminds behind the scenes. Let's die together. It seems that this boy has already seen that the shadow in front of him will never let him go, but he is unwilling to die here alone. He wants to give out all the people behind him. Let's die together. It's a pity Qin Feng is too lazy to listen to him, because when the minigame started, Qin Feng had already learned all the memories of this kid and knew everything behind him. Soon, when Qin Feng stole the attributes of this blonde boy until only the last 10 points were left, this guy had completely become an ordinary person with no power, even if he had a level, a profession, and skills. Because his attributes were too low, he had no power at all. Finally, in endless despair and regret, Joffrey was sent into the frying pan of infinite reincarnation. Next, Qin Feng had gained a lot and recalled the memory of the blonde boy and sneered secretly. Originally, Qin Feng had not planned to kill Yun Jianyue because, according to what he had learned before, this woman was targeting a monster and she would not be sentenced to death, although official assets were misappropriated. It was still left to Daxia to deal with, but through the memory of the blonde boy Joffrey, Qin Feng learned a lot of things. There is definitely a very broad network of interests here. When Qin Feng got the pair of wristbands in Joffrey's hand, he was sure that this was one of the equipment sold to the Daxia official before, with 68 points of instant death resistance. This kind of equipment is currently considered a top-grade product in Daxia and has strategic significance in land reclamation. How could it fall into the hands of people in North America? In this case, I will track them down one by one, and I will always be able to track down the person behind the scenes. Qin Feng knew that if the official was asked to investigate, the efficiency would probably be quite low. Even if there were hidden professions like soul searchers, the restrictions were not small, and it was not easy to check other people's memories. This time, Qin Feng planned to do it himself. With lightning speed, he followed the clues and uprooted the interest network behind this matter. So, Qin Feng left the place of judgment, and the death wings behind him spread out, appearing above the hiding place of the Daxia Dragon Group. The trial of Joffrey Frews took only 2 minutes in total. At this time, Wanya Weiyu had already arranged her hair and came to the ground of the hiding place to tell everyone the situation. Isn't this too fast? The support we transferred from other places in Kyoto has not arrived yet, and your support from the Magic City has arrived first. The group of people were all numb. However, before they could digest the news, Qin Feng suddenly appeared in the sky. Swish! Qin Feng directly aimed at Yun Jianyue in the crowd and sent her into the Judgment Land with a Shadow Blade, the second one in the Judgment Land. Yun Jianyue's initial performance was similar to that of Joffrey, shocked, confused, but when Qin Feng appeared in front of her, she actually spoke with a strong sense of justice. Shadow. This time I participated in the defense of the hiding place, and I have made meritorious contributions. You can't kill me, and I just wanted to kill an epic boss to avenge my relatives. Could it be that the boss will be your mount in the future, so you won't let us go kill? You are too domineering. What a pity. This woman doesn't know that Qin Feng has already known everything she did. Work together inside and outside. Let the people in North America kill the Soul Collector of Daxia, so that you can leave. Tell me, should you kill him? Qin Feng said this lightly, not bothering to argue with her at all. Raised his hand, opened the minigame directly, and started exploding equipment again. Some of the equipment on this woman was also sold by Qin Feng to the Daxia official earlier, so he took them all back first. Over and over again. Not long after, all of Yun Jianyue's equipment was exposed. Then, it was the robbery master again. First search all the memories. Then expose all the equipment, and finally extract all the attributes. Directly 3, the last judgment, thrown into the punishment space of continuous reincarnation, perhaps because she killed her relatives. This woman was punished into the Knife Mountain scene. Qin Feng was really a little sad about Yun Jianyue's ending. It was miserable, but it was all her own fault, so she couldn't blame others. Then, emotionally stable human high-quality male. After the trial of Yun Jianyue, the matter is not over yet. Qin Feng followed Yun Jianyue's memory and began to investigate other clues. A few minutes later, relying on the perception of the shadow, Qin Feng found the emotionally stable human high-quality male that the Daxia official had not found, yet more than 10 kilometers away, and quietly sneaked in to kill him. The third one, then, Qin Feng did not find anyone in reality, but entered the godforsaken game, teleported to the Kyoto Ruins game area, and quickly found the target. The fourth one, the fifth one, the sixth one. With repeated memories, Qin Feng knew the characteristics, actions, and habits of these people very well, and he pulled them out one by one like pulling out carrots. Among these people, some were members of the official guild, such as a 22-year-old girl who betrayed the coordinates of the soul collector Luo Xiaoxiao because of the temptation of North America. There were also culprits who facilitated outsiders, resulting in the theft of the official warehouse of Daxia and the loss of some strategic level equipment, and the executors who stole the equipment and sold it to North America. When one thing leads to another, follow the clues. 7, 8, 9. Until the end, all the clues were cleared up, and Qin Feng killed 13 people in total. Almost all the stakeholders were caught in one fell swoop. However, there is still a key figure among them, codenamed Mysterious Mr. X, who is not in Daxia at present, but in Niu Yao City in North America, he is the key figure in contact with the White Bull Altar Guild in Niu Yao City. And, Qin Feng has learned that the White Bull Altar has obtained a demon NPC. Wow, this demon NPC is really good. In fact, Qin Feng knew about the existence of this demon NPC as soon as he finished reading Joffrey's memory. It can extend the duration of the buff state to 5 times the original. This delayed buff is a must-have for men. Qin Feng smiled. The duration of the effect is actually an ability that is attached to ancient equipment and skills, with a small probability. It has the effect of extending its own buff state and shortening its own negative state. It also has the effect of shortening the target's buff state and extending the target's negative state. For example, Qin Feng was killed instantly by the Kite Fairy. His shadow arc only lasted for 0.1 seconds, which was the buff state duration, which was shortened by the fairy. For another example, when Qin Feng challenged the skeleton god general, the great swordsman Taramon, he was killed because of this effect, which caused the shadow arc to not last too long. If I can extend my buff effect to 5 times, my shadow arc can delay my damage by 15 seconds. Although Qin Feng killed the First World Spine, among the loot dropped by the mythical boss, there are actually equipment with attributes related to duration, but unfortunately they are not used by assassins. And even if there are ancient equipment with extended duration, it is impossible to extend it to 5 times. It can be said that the buff state of the demon NPC is absolutely worth the money. Otherwise, Joffrey and the White Bull Altar Guild would not have expanded to attack Daxia. Originally wanted to take the opportunity to gather a group of Daxia's strongmen, but failed to steal chickens. Now, it's time to talk to the White Bull Altar about compensation, Qin Feng thought lightly. Soon, Qin Feng's series of thunderous actions directly pulled out a series of problematic people hidden in the crowd, and also solved the theft of strategic equipment that Daxia officials had not solved for several days. It took Qin Feng only half an hour to complete all this. When the dust settled, Qin Feng returned to the hideout of the Great Xia Dragon Group and reunited with Wanye Weiyu. The official players of Great Xia who learned about the situation were all shocked by Qin Feng's thundering means. And are you going to demand war reparations from the White Bull Altar Guild in North America? Are you going to ask their main figures, a president, 4 vice presidents, and the leaders of 4 top teams to voluntarily give their souls to Luo Xiaoxiao for control, and ask them to pay war reparations and compensate 50,000 years of life every week from now on, and ask them to hand over the control of the demon NPC? The official people were all a little shocked. Shadow's appetite is too big. However, this matter is naturally helpful to the official of Great Xia. Of the 50,000 years of life compensation paid by the White Bull Altar every week, 10,000 years will belong to the Great Xia Dragon Group because the soul collector Luo Xiaoxiao is a member of the Great Xia Dragon Group. This requires her to control the other party's main figures. Standing next to Qin Feng, Wanye Weiyu couldn't help but lower her voice and asked, "Isn't this too much? It's equivalent to completely draining the opposing guild." Qin Feng, this is war compensation. It has never been equal. If you don't agree, you will die. It's that simple. The vice president of the Daxia Long Group Guild next to him, a middle-aged man, frowned, counted with his fingers, and felt something was wrong. If they give 50,000 years of life every week, it is equivalent to more than 7,000 years of life a day, which is almost all the tax revenue of the current top guilds. With this compensation, their guild will be forced to disband soon. Qin Feng patted the other party on the shoulder. So, the pattern should be big. They have demon NPC, which have shocked the entire Niu Yao City. What they can't pay. Can't let other guilds in Niu Yao City pay. The vice president is also a smart man. When he heard this, his eyes lit up immediately. I understand. This is to harvest the entire Niu Yao City. Qin Feng didn't say much. But it was obvious that his goal was not just pig farm +1. It's pig farm +100. Then I'll let Xiaoxiao come over and accompany you. Then, The vice president nodded to Chen Feng. We haven't sent the news to New Yao City yet, so you can handle it. You have to take good care of our Xiao Xiao. She has no fighting power and needs protection. Don't worry. King Feng nodded. Soon, a long-haired girl wearing a plain long skirt with a white cloth covering her eyes came to the field under the protection of 2 female warriors. Luo Xiao, this is a blind girl. Dong dong dong. King Feng could clearly feel that when this girl came over, her heart was the jumping speed was getting faster and faster, and it was obvious that she was a little nervous. Come here. I'll take you to the New Yao City. Don't worry. It won't take too long. King Feng spoke to her. The girl walked over step by step, lowered her head a little nervously. King Feng glanced at her and found that although her 4 attributes were not high, they were more than 200 points, much stronger than ordinary people. He pulled her onto Osiris's back. Swish. Osiris flapped his wings and took off, laughing. Boss, how fast do you want to fly? King Feng. Full speed. Osiris was stunned. Boss? This young lady can't stand your tossing. It can also feel that the girl Luo Xiao's physique is not high. If it goes at full speed, she will definitely not be able to resist. King Feng was speechless. He taught this broken dragon a lesson not long ago, and he didn't dare to call her boss lady casually, but how did it become a young lady again? Stop talking nonsense. Go full speed. King Feng kicked it on the back. After the words fell, before Luo Xiao could say anything, King Feng took action directly. First, he cast an Abyss Withering Curse on himself, reducing the attack power to -2 million. Then he activated the Divine Rule of the Ring, Ulrich's Extreme Cold Ring, Absolute Zero. Holding the white bud blade, he slashed towards Luo Xiao's chest. Kakaka. The blindfolded girl in a plain long skirt was instantly frozen into a beautiful ice sculpture. Magnificent. King Feng hugged the ice sculpture girl with one hand. Let's go. This way she won't be hurt, no matter how fast you fly. It won't be a problem. This made Luo Xiao, who was very nervous just now, look confused. What's going on? Although she couldn't move in the frozen state, Luo Xiao still had consciousness and thinking. She never expected that Shadow would protect her like this. Shadow's tricks are really rich. Luo Xiao couldn't help thinking. Fortunately, she has always been an important member of the Daxia official, and she has seen and heard a lot of anecdotes, so she didn't think too much. On the contrary, she was a little worried about the upcoming trip to New Yao City. If it's just to get war reparations, Shadow's strength will definitely be no problem. But it's not that easy to get them to hand over the control of the demon NPC. After all, she also heard that the control of the NPC in the godforsaken game is not transferred casually, and the NPC's own consent is required. I'm afraid I have to fight with that NPC. I have to be careful and can't hold the boss back. She was cheering herself up. But King Feng didn't worry about this at all. For him, it was really easy to get an NPC to agree to transfer, and he didn't even have to fight. Once the ancient god language came out, the NPC would know who would be the most beneficial, even if he was a pig. It was after he had taken Luo Xiao out for a while, he was controlling the Abyss puppet, and suddenly saw a ghostly petite figure in the Abyss world. The figure was somewhat familiar, and it was a ghost. Of course, it was not a ghost in this life. It was a level 64 monster transformed from the corpse of a ghost that had died in a certain reincarnation. Hiss. You are indeed a girl. It is still so pretty even after turning into a monster. King Feng couldn't help but sigh after just one look, but there was no other way. Although it was a corpse monster of an acquaintance, he still had to kill it. After all, he had killed his former self, not to mention other acquaintances, since it is an acquaintance. And it is so powerful at level 64, it is not too much to drop an Abyss Shrine for me. King Feng started to make a wish directly. Although it is Chen Feng's Abyss puppet, like Chen Feng, in the Abyss world, Umbra Perception is still effective. This allows Chen Feng to see through any invisible unit from the perspective of the Abyss puppet, but the see-through effect cannot take effect. That is, there is no way to make the target fall into a state of loss of 5 senses. And as for 100% stripping, it is even more useless because in the Abyss world, except for inviolable, other superordinate affixes will not take effect. At this moment, from the perspective of Chen Feng's Abyss puppet, a petite ghostly figure is perceived, which is maintaining an invisible state and crouching in a cluster of dark green grass. The cluster of grass presents some bright colors, which is obviously not something originally in this Abyss world, because in the entire Abyss world, King Feng has never seen the existence of any plants. Good guy. This girl can actually make grass, but in this Abyss world, such a cluster of grass is too eye-catching. King Feng sighed. It seems that the ghost in front of him really has no wisdom and consciousness, otherwise it would not be so. No silver here. After Chen Feng found the target, he controlled the Abyss puppet and moved forward at a high speed with the replica White Bud Blade in hand. Of course, the White Bud Blade only has empty attributes, but not the consciousness of the White Bud. In an instant, He slashed a knife at the clump of grass. It must be said that it is worthy of being a level 64 ghost, although it has no consciousness and wisdom. Its fighting instinct still exists. When Qinfeng attacked, the ghost immediately transformed into the Yellow Spring evil ghost form, and the long tail blade behind it brought a pale green knife light, and collided with Qinfeng's white bud blade with a dang sound, and bounced off each other. Qinfeng's attack speed was extremely fast, and he was about to attack again with a normal attack, but he didn't expect that the pale green tail blade behind the ghost would instantly extend, forming a pale green chain, entangle the two weapons in Qinfeng's puppet's hands. Is this forced disarmament? It looks like a professional characteristic of the ghost spirit. I don't know which professional advancement unlocked it. When Qinfeng's puppet was forced to disarm, the puppet could not launch any attack. Qinfeng was not in a hurry. He controlled the Abyss puppet to raise his hand and release the Abyss Withering Curse, Abyss Slow Curse, and Abyss Silence Curse. The three Abyss Curse skills fell, but unfortunately the latter two were blocked by the inviolable affixes on the ghost spirit. Only the Abyss Withering Curse was temporarily effective, and this also made the dozens of consecutive attacks of the ghost spirit immediately afterwards all become blood recovery for the Abyss puppet, until 2 seconds later, a dark white light flashed on the ghost spirit, and it actually removed all the negative states on her body. It can be seen that she has reached the ancient level of dispelling negative states. When the attack was launched again, Qinfeng's forced disarming effect also ended. The ghost and Qinfeng's puppet launched more than 10 normal attacks in an instant, and the result was that both sides kept dodging. This girl's dodge rate is so high, Qinfeng was a little annoyed. The puppets in the Abyss world cannot open the Eye of Destiny for the time being, and the hit correction cannot be increased, but it is more than 53,000% anyway. And the result is that all the dodge appears. Fortunately, Qinfeng's dodge rate is higher than that of the ghost. When Qinfeng's puppet was hit twice by the Yellow Spring Chainblade in the ghost's hand, Qinfeng had hit her for the 9th time. In a short period of time, relying on the Frostbroken Spine effect of the World Ice Spine Boots. The inviolable affix on her body was directly reduced. Then, Qinfeng's puppet raised his hand again, the Abyss slowed down, and the Abyss was silent. Directly put the ghost into a state where it can hardly move. The 99% deceleration of the Abyss, slow alone has maxed out the control strength. Not to mention the Abyss silence. However, it is still difficult to kill the ghost just by doing this. In addition to the high dodge rate, the ghost also has a dodge blood recovery effect. Although each dodge can only recover about 30% of blood, it can still maintain full blood when Qinfeng's hit rate is not high. This survivability is really like a small me. Qinfeng was a little amused. Super high dodge blood recovery, plus about 4-7% injury limit, make this ghost survivability extremely terrifying. If it was the previous Qinfeng, it might be difficult to kill her when all active damage skills were disabled. But now, with Qinfeng's puppets attacking again and again, the damage of the Benem of the Death Mercy poison from the mercy of the Goddess of Death was quickly and infinitely stacked up, ignoring the injury limit of death toxin damage. It can remove about 15% of the life value of the ghost. At this point, Qinfeng stopped directly. He didn't need to attack again. Lest the attack was dodged and the opponent recovered blood. 3 seconds later, the poison damage on the ghost became more than 20% per second, because her health was less than 50%. The power of the end effect of Qinfeng's Death Hood was triggered, and the damage increased by 50%. In this way, Qinfeng quietly watched the ghost corpse monster that could not move, and even the ancient level dispel skill could not be cast, and was quickly poisoned to death. It's so difficult. Qinfeng breathed a sigh of relief. This battle can be regarded as quite difficult. With the skills disabled, it was almost impossible to kill the 64 level ghost. This made Qinfeng a little forget the wish he made when he saw the ghost just now. Until the petite corpse of the ghost was killed by the poison and fell to the ground, Qinfeng was surprised and delighted to find that under her corpse, there was actually a palm-sized black box. The box looked like a small urn, with black mist swirling around it, containing the energy essence from the ancient god of the Abyss, and it was the Abyss Shrine. This is really out, Qinfeng smiled. As expected of her own girl, she came up with something great. Of course, this thing is not something that the Abyss puppet can use. Qinfeng can only summon the Abyss puppet from the Abyss world to his side first. The real blue star, above the straight line from Daxia, Kyoto to the North American Twisting Way City, on a vast ocean, Qinfeng held the girl Luo Xiao, who had turned into an ice sculpture, in one hand, and stood on Osiris's back, moving forward at a speed of more than 10 times the speed of sound. Suddenly, a black shadow appeared behind Qinfeng. That was his Abyss puppet. The puppet looked similar to Qinfeng himself, but there were no eyes on his face, and his facial features were completely covered by a white mask. In addition, Qinfeng had various special effects on his body, showing various colors. But all the special effects on this puppet were black, representing the abyss. When the puppet appeared, Luo Xiaoxiao, who had turned into an ice sculpture, was a little nervous. Although she couldn't see with her eyes, she also learned a passive skill that allowed her to feel the combat units around her. This made her a little dazed. Isn't she being taken by Shadow to the Twisting Way City in North America? She should be in the sky. How could anyone appear next to Shadow? The next scene made Luo Xiaoxiao tremble even more, because she could feel through the ice that froze her that the guy who suddenly appeared seemed to give Shadow something, and then Shadow's whole body was covered with a terrifying aura. It seemed to be absorbing some evil energy. Could it be the method of those demon cultivators in the previous Immortal novels? Hiss. Is it the kind of killing people and plundering cultivation? Although Luo Xiaoxiao couldn't see, her family conditions were good in the past, and she often listened to novels, especially Immortal novels, and she was quite yearning for the various scenes described in the novels. Now she naturally thought of that aspect. If Qin Feng knew what she was thinking, he would be a little speechless. Isn't this girl's imagination a little too rich? In fact, Qin Feng just took the Abyss Shrine from the puppet and used it. It's just that the power of the Abyss is a little scary and cold, a little creepy. And when the black fog Abyss energy surrounding Qin Feng was absorbed by him, Qin Feng finally successfully turned one of his skills into the Abyss. The skill he chose was naturally the Hand of Greed. This skill can not only be upgraded by 1 grade, but also can be used in the Abyss world after it is abyssalized. It will increase the explosion rate in the Abyss world by 20 times. This is the beginning of Qin Feng's takeoff in the Abyss world, with the Hand of Greed. It will be easy to get this small urn when brushing the Abyss Shrine in the future. Brushing 8 in a day is not a dream. If you abyssalize other skills, you can go to the ruins of the Abyss world and brush them in groups. The development speed will be hundreds of times faster than that of ordinary players entering the Abyss. Soon, Qin Feng used the first Abyss Shrine that exploded from the Ghost and absorbed the essence of the Abyss energy in it. Open the skill panel to check. The Hand of Greed after abyssalization made Qin Feng's eyes light up. Abyss Eye of Greed, ancient level, abyssalized to immortal level, assassin skill. When you look at a monster corpse, it will explode. And there's a 1280% arrive, 15 to 54% chance to get an extra loot reward. The extra loot obtained has a 100% chance to be upgraded by 1 grade. Level 40, 59, legendary effect. You get 1280 arrive, 1554 grids of greedy space, which can be used to store items. That mythic effect. Hand of Synthesis. You can synthesize 8 arrive 7 items of the same grade equipment or skill books into 1 higher grade items. Synthesized in this way cannot be used for synthesis again. Meta. Ancient effect. Can be used twice on the same monster corpse, arrive double the probability of extra loot, 1554%, arrive 3108%. Mana. Immortal new effect. When a monster corpse explodes, you will randomly gain extra experience points, equivalent to 155. 4% 10. 8% of the experience points provided by killing the monster? The Hand of Greed has directly become the Eye of Greed. It's a bit outrageous. Will it really explode if you look at it once? For a moment? Even Qin Feng was dumbfounded. Now, if there are a large number of monster corpses, Qin Feng doesn't need to cast the Hand of Greed one by one. Just glance at them and they will all explode. In the process of leveling up, it can save a lot of time. And it is worth mentioning that the ancient level effect of this skill, before it could be used twice on the same monster corpse, but now it directly doubles the probability of extra loot. Because the corpse exploded after the first look, there is no way to look at it a second time. Qin Feng looked at the newly added immortal level effect of this skill again. You can get extra monster experience. This is too amazing. Although it is obtained randomly, even if it is based on the average value, my experience of each monster can be increased by 233. 1%. In other words, this directly gives me 3 times the experience. Qin Feng's scalp is numb. Cool. So cool. Experience points and levels are the foundation of the godforsaken game. They also affect career advancement, and even have special effects such as the bloodline of the Deathwing Angel. Its importance is self-evident. Qin Feng was able to lead in the first place. Partly because of his far-reaching level, now he has tripled the experience points. Is there any need to say more about what this means? In that case, there are 2 more places that need to be tested. Qin Feng quickly calmed down and began to consider 2 other things. First, when using the Abyss Shrine to abyssify skills, when Qin Feng's skills evolve again, do he need the same evolution points as before or after the evolution? This is very important. Qin Feng took a quick glance and found that the number of evolution points required for the next evolution of the Hand of Greed had not changed. It was 890,000 before, and it is still 890,000 now. That is to say, the Abyss Shrine gives the skill a rank upgrade, which is the final settlement, not a direct upgrade. This makes no difference to other players. Anyway, it's all rank +1. But for Qin Feng, the difference is huge. This means that he can use the Abyss Shrine on any skill, and it will not affect his evolution point consumption anyway. The second point is also very important. That is, this skill has changed from the Hand of Greed to the Eye of Greed. Then can I learn the Hand of Greed again? Qianfeng saw that the name of this skill had changed, and he immediately considered this issue. The previous skill evolution name changed from Son of the Upper to Source of the Upper, but this skill was too rare, and Qianfeng did not have a skill book, so he could not try it. But the Hand of Greed is a relatively common skill book. There are still several copies of Hand of Greed in the storage box of the Evil Spirit Academy, which Qianfeng got later. Ghost took one to learn, and there are still a few left. When you come back from Twisted Way City, you can try it. That being said, Qianfeng did not hold much hope. After all, although the name of this skill has changed, it is still the same skill in essence. From the game code level, Eye of Greed and Hand of Greed are both shared basic skills. In this case, the possibility of learning both at the same time is really small. But no matter what, you still have to try. If it really works, it would be abnormal. As for now, from the real Kyoto to Twisted Way City in North America, a journey of more than 10,000 kilometers, even at Qianfeng's current speed, it took more than half an hour. A former international metropolis located in the Grey Fog gradually appeared in front of Qianfeng. From a distance, Qianfeng has seen the Statue of Liberty, which was once famous all over the world through the Grey Fog. However, the Statue of Liberty is now shrouded in a violent area, and the surrounding area is desolate and has long been deserted. Swish. Qianfeng and the Ice Sculpture Girl became invisible, and then let Osirio land outside the guild hideout of the White Bull Altar. No one noticed his arrival. As for the location of this guild hideout, Qianfeng naturally knew it well. With the memory of the blonde boy Joffrey, Qianfeng came here like returning home. Come on, follow me to the game. Qianfeng did not force his way into the hideout directly, because the demon NPC was not in reality, but in the game. So let's talk about it first. Just when Qianfeng and Luo Xiaoxiao entered the game together and consumed their lifespan in the game and were forced to transfer to the ruins of Twisting Way City, in the ruins, a magnificent hideout, like the Roman Colosseum, in one of the luxurious rooms, lived a demon carrying a greatsword. What? The person you sent out died? This demon's buff is so powerful. How can he die? Is he a waste? What? In that country called Daxia, there is a strong man called Shadow. You still want me to be careful of Shadow? What a joke. This demon is afraid of you. Little players and crawlers, this demon NPC has a very bad temper. And this is just what the people of the White Bull Altar Guild take advantage of. It is obvious that they already know that Joffrey is in trouble. For now, the only thing they can rely on is this demon NPC who looks very powerful. The ruins of Niu Yao City, a magnificent hideout like the Colosseum in Rome. This is a large room made of blood-stained steel bars. In this room, there stood a tall demon carrying a black sword with a pair of demon horns like bull horns on his head, and he was 2.5 meters tall, looking at the surrounding White Bull Altar Guild players with an angry face. His condescending and contemptuous eyes made these guild players very unhappy, but they could do nothing about it. The leader among the players was a woman with long, coffee-colored hair. She had bright red lips and a flower tattoo on her exposed shoulder, giving people the momentum of a gangster boss lady. She is the president of the White Bull Altar Guild, known as Queen K. In today's Niu Yao City, her status is definitely admired by all players. But in front of the demon NPC in front of her, she has always been cautious and can only pretend to be a grandson. There is no way. This demon NPC is too powerful. Although the NPC must provide services to her guild after it belongs to her guild, this NPC actually has a mood function if you don't serve it well when it is in a bad mood. The charges for providing various buffs will increase. Simply put, if you don't serve it well, the price will increase. But this demon NPC has a very violent personality. Queen K, who is so high and mighty in front of other players, can only be humble to this NPC. Mr. Nuke. Queen K stared at the demon in front of her and said in a deep voice, "The player codenamed Shadow from Daxia has killed a mythical boss alone not long ago. Don't be careless. Nuke is the name of this demon NPC. To be precise, it is Demon Tamer Madman Nook Lo 50. Originally, when he heard that the elite of this guild went to another country and died outside, he felt incredible. After all, he was very confident in his ability to increase his power, and Joffrey's strength was also recognized by him, so he was furious. He thought that this guild was too stupid, but after hearing what Queen K said, the Demon Tamer, Madman Nuke, frowned. What? Kill a mythical level? He knew very well that the Blue Star Civilization had only entered the God-abandoned game era. Less than 3 months. In such a short time, someone could kill a mythical level boss alone? Is this reasonable? Demon Maniac Nook said sullenly. How dare you provoke such a person? Queen K was a little depressed by this. The situation is very strange. Joffrey died in less than 3 minutes after taking action in Kyoto. But we clearly confirmed that the Shadow Man is in the Magic City more than 1,000 kilometers away. So fast, Demon Nook sat down on the huge stone bench and frowned. Being able to kill a mythical boss means that he has mythical equipment, but mythical equipment cannot have this speed. There must be an order of acceleration. Of course, being able to kill a mythical boss does not mean that you are the opponent of this demon. And you don't need to be afraid. I know you humans too well. You are complacent with a little strength. That kid codenamed Shadow. Don't you think he is invincible? If that kid dares to take action against this demon will let him know what it means to have a higher level. It seems that Demon Nook is still quite confident. However, Queen K provided another piece of information. As far as we know, the Shadow killed a killing executioner in Tianju a long time ago, Mr. Nuke. What do you think of his strength? Killing executioner. What a rotten fish and shrimp. Demon Nuke looked contemptuous and sneered on the spot. To be honest, the strength of the Shadow really surprised this demon. However, this demon was almost able to become a high-level NPC. In short, the strength of this demon is much stronger than that of ordinary NPCs. Don't worry. If you really attack this demon, the 7 hell beasts under this demon are equivalent to the strength of a mythical boss. Or even better, he can kill a mythical beast. I'm afraid he has already used up all his strength. Can he kill 7 of my hell beasts? Demon Nuke sneered. As soon as this was said, everyone in the White Bull Guild was shocked. 7 hell beasts with the strength of mythical boss. This NPC is too powerful, right? If they join forces, they will have more than 7 times the combat power of the mythical boss. Everyone knows that fighting 1 boss at the same time is not the same as fighting 7 boss at the same time. Mr. Nuke's strength, they naturally agree. Queen K nodded respectfully. But if that Shadow wants you to join his guild, will you? She was testing him. But the Demon Nook laughed when he heard it. Don't worry. Such a genius must be extremely arrogant. If this demon goes to his guild, when he really develops, won't he have to obey his orders? How can this demon obey the orders of a mere player? It's better to take advantage of this moment and directly deal with him. Of course. That guy has to dare to attack this demon. Hearing this, Queen K and the people of the White Bull altar beside her finally felt relieved. This demon Tamara Madman Nuke is not the kind of person who is willing to bow down. How could he listen to Shadow's orders? Instead of becoming someone's subordinate, it is better to enjoy the offerings in this White Bull Altar Guild leisurely. In this case, what are they worried about? In that case, our mission is to provoke and provoke Shadow. Queen K smiled. As long as Shadow dares to come and dare to attack Mr. Nuke, that will be his death, and our White Bull Altar Guild will rise to the top of the world from now on. Leave this matter to you. Mr. X, you can speak Daxia language? It is easier to provoke and provoke Shadow, Queen K said as she looked at a middle-aged man in the crowd. The middle-aged man was wearing a robber's hood, and his eyes were exposed, revealing a clear sense of vicissitudes. Hearing this, he nodded silently. He is the mysterious Mr. X. He is the middleman who matched between Kyoto players and the White Bull Altar Guild and resold a batch of strategic level equipment to the White Bull Altar Guild. With Mr. Nuke's words, we feel relieved. Mr. X wore a black robber's hood and bowed to the Demon Nuke in front of him. I will anger the Shadow and let the Shadow take the initiative so that Mr. Nuke can fight back. It's not a counterattack. It's a counterattack, Demon Nook said meaningfully. Expansion will lead to human destruction? I have seen too many humans die from expansion in the Land of Order, ha. 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 At this moment, Qin Feng had come to the ruins of Twisting Waste City and the hiding place of the White Bull Altar Guild, holding the ice sculpture girl Luo Xiao Xiao diagonally. The two of them came here while maintaining a stealth level of 98. Qin Feng found that he came just in time. In the hiding place, the evil plan of the Demon Nook, Queen K, Mr. X and others was directly detected by Qin Feng's Umbra perception.